In this interview, we are joined by Katie Henry, who created Art in Offices to encourage companies of all sizes to put art in their offices by buying or renting original artworks at affordable prices. Art in Offices work primarily with emerging artists of all ages in 2D and 3D in a range of media and styles. So, Katie, do you want to tell us how you created Art in Offices?
Well, I had my bugger it moment. I'm going to do it myself because no one's going to give me the job I want. I think once you've got that spark, you're determined to make it happen. What I realized was, what skills do I have? I know art and artists, and I really want to sell art. Who do I know in the middle of a recession that has any money whatsoever? Not normal people, but businesses still do. So I just thought, that's it. And I know these amazing emerging artists, and this is a new audience for them. I'll just bring the artists and businesses together. And I also knew that back in 2012, most companies felt like they had to be a Deutsche Bank to be able to have artwork because they were the people sponsoring the big exhibitions, right? I didn't want everyone to have that feeling. I wanted artwork to be accessible so that companies of any size could have artwork to make people happy. Because if I'm two people in an office, I want to feel just as happy as the big fish who've got an office full of artwork at Deutsche Bank. It's not fair that one should have and one should not. So it was always about making artwork accessible. And that drove what the business model is about. And what we do most of the time is rent artwork to offices because it's much more affordable for people to rent 15, 20, 70 artworks than it is to buy 5, 10, 15, 70 artworks. So it was always about accessibility. And because I had just come out of art school and knew lots of emerging artists, I knew that's who I wanted to work with. I wanted to give them a lift up, a new audience. I wanted to help them generate an income stream. I wanted people in offices who wouldn't generally have access to artwork to be able to have conversations with these people. And that's how the whole business model came about, basically.
And how has it evolved since? Where are you today? Do you work in the UK, internationally? What kinds of clients? Tell us about that.
It's a lot of finance clients and fintech these days. When I first started, fintech wasn't even a word that you'd hear. But now finance and technology have combined. I've worked with pharmaceutical companies, lots of knowledge transfer companies as well. So lawyers, solicitors, hedge funds, barristers' chambers, accountants, tax advisors, wealth advisors. So one of the things I did adapt very early on was renting and rotating because that seemed really popular. So that's always been our core service: buying, renting, rotating. Projects wise, I've been all over, mostly London because that's where we're based. And I do huge amounts of networking to find clients and I get a lot of referrals. So it's always people in the immediate vicinity. But I've done projects in Manchester and Glasgow in the southwest of the UK and Birmingham. And I've worked on a lot of projects internationally. And it's a whole different ball game logistically to deliver those.
In terms of the artists that you work with, what types of artists do you showcase in Art in Offices?
Artwork changes and trends change. So when I first started the art in offices, everyone had big blank white walls, and all they were after was colour. Big canvases full of colour. Office design trends have actually moved on quite drastically in the last 12 years, and COVID has pushed that on. Offices now are starting to feel more like homes. There's a lovely word which is resi-mercial, which is residential and commercial. Are they hotels? Are they homes? Are they offices? They blend all three. So that means the type of artists I worked with have changed. I used to look for artists that just did these big canvases. Now it's much more varied. And every client has a different brand, culture, and identity. So what suits one company won't suit another, which means I have to have a really wide range. Having said that, abstract works really well. Abstract in all of its formats. So we've got people who have abstract buildings, abstract landscapes, abstract botanical, pure abstract with just color, very geometric pieces, things that look like technology. So that really works. Mostly because if you put lots of figurative things in and faces, people start to feel uncomfortable. They're like, I don't really know that face and they're staring at me from across the wall. I'm a little bit uncomfortable. And the one thing I always get my clients to focus on is what is your brand identity? For example, if they're a fintech company, they might want to seem very avant-garde. They might want to seem very futuristic. And the artwork I put in there might be neon, metal, millennium pink, might be large and bold and abstract. Other clients, like a family law firm, they might want something that makes them seem like a safe pair of hands, trustworthy, family friendly, relaxing. They need something entirely different. They need something that looks like a Picasso or a Liechtenstein or something that they've seen in the Tate Modern that's safe and not and a known element. So variety is the spice of life, and I need artists of every ilk and every genre. And having done this for 13 years now, I can just see artwork and I'm like, I know that's going to suit us. It's high quality, it's refined. The website looks really good. The artist knows what they're doing. I just know that's going to work.
Do you work in 2D exclusively, or do you also do 3D and sculpture?
Oh no, we do everything. We just did a big project with Netflix when they hired quite a few sculptures. We've put sculptures in big office buildings as well, like the really monumental size sculptures and smaller pieces that go on plinths as well. Textured pieces go down really well, especially in larger spaces. People are actually really interested in texture now, not just flat paintings. They want works on paper, they want textiles and tapestries and things that are carved and put together. It's really changed. People are much bolder with their choices, which is wonderful.
We had a lot of questions about things that you're picking up in terms of scale, dimension, format,
Mhm.
subject matter. So, in terms of scale, as a rule of thumb, what sort of sizes and dimensions would you say are more typical or more successful? It might, for instance, be a large piece for a lobby, or medium-sized piece for an office, or a smaller size piece to fit in a nook or cranny. So,
Mhm.
in your experience, what sort of sizes are more in demand for offices?
Well, if everyone can visualize an office and what it might look like, when you go into a lobby, you might have space for a sculpture, but you have a very small footprint space. So it needs to be tall rather than wide. But you also might have a really large wall, but large walls in receptions can be anything from 3 meters to 7 meters. And offices in general, small rooms are 3 or 4 meters, large walls are 7 or 10. And then you've got these really random spaces where you've got columns in between windows, especially in old buildings. So size variety is also needed. So I usually say to artists, something around 100 by 100 centimeters works really well. For small reading rooms, I might group together things that are like 80 by 80, 100 by 100, and a 60 by 60, you know, like a little threesome type piece. Large receptions, I put in works that are anywhere from 150 centimeters to 4 meters long, depending on the wall size. So big is good. And then in office spaces, if you imagine the ceiling down to the top of the computer, you generally get about 120 to 140 centimeters there. So smaller pieces that are about 60 by 60 work in a series, or long and thin that are about 80 centimeters high and no, not taller than that. So yeah, I'm constantly playing Tetris with artworks. It's what have I got available? What will fit in each space? But big is good. But the one thing I would also tell everybody is a series of artworks that are the same size are also always going to be useful. 6 or 8 pieces, or even if it's a set of four, all the same size. So many artists want to sign up, and I look at their website and I'm like, well, there's a 57 by a 62, and there's a 90 by 120, and then an 80 by a 30, and then like I can't put those together in a series if they're all different sizes.
Thanks for watching this video. If you want to watch the full 1 hour interview and get top tips from an expert, then click the link below and join the Art Ladder mentoring program now. By joining the Art Ladder, you will get access to our full library of webinars with curators, collectors, critics, gallerists, and more. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos like this, and check out the description below for more free resources for artists.